Chat, more show matches with Dark. And this time against Loreley, somebody who played in Fear Fest 1, I believe it was the last time we had Loreley in a tournament. I don't think he was able to qualify for Fear Fest 2, but he played well, and now he is playing alongside Ashley and somebody else, I think, in their RLCS team. So definitely a high-level player. Yes, Dr. Feer, by the way, chat, is my spouse. I would say Mrs. Feer, but she is not Mrs. Feer. She is Dr. Feer. So I give her official title. Loreley, if you guys don't know who he is, which might actually be the case, even though he's been around longer than Dark. I feel like more people have become aware of Dark due to a very popular YouTube video and the fact that he pogos and double resets his way around the map. Loreley has actually been a high-level ones player for a long time. And I'm not sure if he ever made it onto Johnny's stream, but he has played a ton of show matches on mine and has done well in tournaments against top EU competition. So the question is he still at that level? I actually haven't seen him in the ones leaderboard recently, but he's certainly a good player, and we'll see if he can take down Dark in this matchup today. Thank you, Majin Buu, for the tier 1 for 3 months. Got a nice new F symbol next to your name now that you've reached 3 months. And hopefully you show it with pride. Dr. Fear sounds like Marvel's version of Scarecrow. Yeah, she's not like Marvel's version of Scarecrow. She's not nearly as scary. Dark. Full field dribble into a pogo. He uses it to go directly at Loreley. And Loreley, who's playing incredibly passive defense on the goal line, cannot stop the pogo and 50. Dark loves his pogos. And he's only so far scored them against Ahmad. He was able to score him in his first game, but then Ahmad was eventually able to take the series. And we actually hadn't seen Dark score one again since then, despite giving him in a couple of different matches. But here against Loreley, he is looking much more confident. He's going to score quickly. I think the key to stopping him on his pogos is challenging him very early. And Loreley's going to try to challenge him earlier than he did before. But he's going to end up slamming the ball directly into Dark's car and just helping him shoot it. He was maybe trying to clear it to the corner, but he just arrived way too late. Did not stand a chance. What kind of doctor? Dr. Feer is an emergency medicine doctor. And she is in her second year of residency. So she has to go and work long shifts at the ER. So she left early this morning and will be back in about an hour or so. Dark. Full field dribble from the back corner. This time, a wave dash to try and pop it over Loreley. Certainly looked in control of this game. As Dark, once again, takes to yet another dribble every time he's getting a possession starting in his own half. He likes to attack through the air, reminiscent of the youngsters from North America that love to grind the aerial creativity. Dark pushing the envelope over in the Middle East. He's sitting inside the net here. And actually, it's funny that he does that because one of the first players I ever saw consistently go for saves on the inside of their net was the other North American aerial mastermind that I was referring to, which was Daniel. I think a lot of people will camp on the inside of their net now, on the inside wall. I remember Daniel used to go out of his way to push himself there, and it didn't work out very often. Kind of like tons of different exploratory strategies in 1v1 Go before they get perfected and used more effectively. Credit to those that like to pioneer at the risk of maybe a few rank points when it doesn't work out, and I'm sure that that is the case with Dark and his pogos. Dark using his flip just to push the ball into the corner. Loreley should be able to escape to the net. As long as he can play decent keep away, he'll have a second. Why is it Dark question mark? A great question that you can ask Dark, because I don't know the answer. Joan for Jorias Oli, and you got this. Hey, listen, here's the thing about 1v1 fans in general that I think those of us who watch the games all the time, it's a great out save from Lorley, know that there are tons of 1v1 talent that might not be RLCS talent. And because RLCS is the most popular competitive format and league, those players get ton more hype and ton more really viewership, which is understandable because they have so many eyes on them in a different game mode. But there are tons of dominant ones players who don't get the same kind of attention but are just as exciting, and in some cases more so, but they just don't happen to be RLCS level pros. Any 2v2 show matches upcoming? Not necessarily. Every once in a while I consider doing a 2v2. Usually when players are on that I know don't love 1v1, but I might be able to convince them to do a show match if I say it's 2v2, then I'll ask them to grab a teammate and run twos. That's usually the only reason I'll run twos normally, because it's a lot harder to set up. Where's Lorley from? Lorley's from Turkey. Lorley is from Turkey. Dark from Saudi Arabia. And Dark 14 years old. Lorley, I would guess somewhere between 17 and 19, like I guess every Rocket League player is. But I don't think he's too old, which of course would be 20. Having your name start with a 2 is incredibly old of you. Lorley has slowed down the momentum of Dark, but hasn't been able to completely counter what was tons of early success as Dark took a 5-3 lead. Lorley, the ceiling reset. Not going to turn it into anything. Dark, I don't think this is going to cross goal line, but it would have been another goal with a few more seconds. A game 1 win for the Middle Eastern youngster against the longtime player on my stream, Lorley. You turn 36 tomorrow? Hey, good to have some other 30-year-olds here in chat. I'm going to turn 30 in December, so nice to know I have some of my own kind here in chat watching with us. These two guys are going to meet at the midfield for an aerial 50. Now Dark, another reset and another pogo, but he couldn't stick with it this time. Not a hard enough bounce on the pogo, but Lorley, man, he has got to control these and take them for his own possessions. If Dark is able to get away with a pogo like that and still score, it's going to be really tough for Lorley as the series goes on. 33 here, 41. Hey, love to see all the age ranges. Though it's interesting, I think a lot of people who hear that I do Rocket League on YouTube kind of assume, also because they hear that the players who play are like some of the best players are 15. So they're like, oh wow, you have 15-year-old players. It's like a kid's game, you could argue. Your audience must all be super young. But if you go and look at my audience numbers, my main audience member is me. It's like 24 to 32. I forget what the range they do, but it's like older. Dark is just gonna get triple reset, but Lorley saves it. But it's not quite as young of an audience. It's like all us old players who can't do the stuff the kids can do want to watch them. It must be what it is. I think the like 15 to 18-year-old crowd is bigger than, say, like the 40 to 49 crowd. But yeah, the biggest collection of viewers are late 20s. Like me. I am late 20s for a couple more months before I become 30. Dark, able to hold steady on his goal line and escape to a wall-to-air dribble. This reset sends the ball too high, and if Lorley could have not reacted to it at all, he would have had an extremely easy counter. Instead, he's going to get a very easy counter by just falling out of his own net and taking it before a very tough recovery from Dark, who had just used a ton of boost. slam that high. Dark loves his fake kickoffs. And we saw Ness absolutely eat him alive for it. Ness was dominating it. He loves his pogos too. The fake kickoff to pogo is the Dark signature. The problem is, too often the Dark signature results in this, you know, counterattack. You were a kid when the game came out. I had graduated college, which is too bad for me. Basically, I had just left prime gaming age where you have the most time to do it. And then my favorite game since I've been alive comes out. It's really just too bad. Dark given a free field, and he'll take it as Loreley tried to dive to the back corner to steal boost. Dark is the Ace of Patos of the Eastern Hemisphere. Yeah, I think that they have gained a ton of comparisons. Whether or not it's just because Zapatos has tried a couple pogos and Dark does as well, or just the way they move. I don't think Dark is nearly as aggressive as Zapatos is. I think Dark is willing to play passive, and also Dark is super aerial based. So I really think it's just the pogos. The more I think about it, I think the only reason to compare them is the pogos, because Zapatos is incredibly ground gamed and super, super aggressive. He just is all over the ball all the time, and his wave dashes are one of his most unique characteristics. And Dark loves the aerial game. Zapatos can do the aerial game. I know he had a double flip reset musty in Turf Wars, but he actually defers away from it more often than not in 1v1 show matches. He prefers speedy ground game. Rocket League is your favorite game? Did you game as a teen? So, I don't know. My favorite game is either Rocket League or World of Warcraft. I haven't played World of Warcraft in a really long time. In fact, I barely even played it in high school. I played it when I was much younger. But I played competitive World of Warcraft 5v5 with my brothers and a couple friends. And that was really fun. Just communicating with your team and like getting up high in the ranks. Just team play, I think. Team competitive games. And that's the only one I really did. I bet if you do competitive like CSGO or Valorant where you do comms and stuff, it's probably just as fun. Or if you do Rocket League, not a lot of people comm in Rocket League unless they're playing big tournaments, but I would actually suggest you grab a couple friends, comm with each other while you play a tournament or something, because if you haven't done that before, it could just be fun. It's a fun time. And that was probably the most fun I had playing a competitive game was WoW with my brothers and friends for 5v5, which is where my name comes from, Feer. I was a warlock named Feer. Dark, an air dribble that Loreley tries to pre-jump. And Dark is going to have no trouble carrying it in for a fifth. People sleep on Rocket League and say it takes no skill. Yeah, I think that's a common opinion, because if you were to watch the game, it doesn't have a ton of abilities. It doesn't have a ton of things you don't understand. So you just look at it and you're like, yeah, it's just a car playing soccer, just hitting the ball. Like, I get it. Like, I also want to air dribble the ball to the net. I could do that. And then you play it for 10 minutes. That's all it takes. 10 minutes. And you're like, wait a second. I can't even touch the ball. The ball's not moving and I can't go touch it. And you're like, okay, I guess I understand why this is so hard. What are Dark's socials? I don't think Dark streams, but Dark's Twitter is linked in my recent tweets. Nice. Dark is making this game that was a loss for him into a win, as he gets a great reset, able to keep Loreley at bay and then take it off the bounce. If you go to my Twitter, I tweeted about Dark recently with him added, so you can see that. I don't think he does YouTube or Twitch or anything like that. Dark. Reset. Pogo. Top right. 8-6 for Dark. Loreley not wanting to challenge us early. And Ness showed what the perfect counter to those pogos are, which is to just challenge right as the ball is bouncing, right when he loses control of it. It's hard to protect at that moment. Of course, the counter back from Dark is then to use the reset super early whenever Loreley turns to challenge. But I think you've got to start forcing Dark to not take the pogos. Because letting him bounce up with the pogos is too much of a risk, I would argue. You're better off challenging him earlier and at least making him think twice about all the things he's trying. 9-6 with 30 seconds left to go. Dark convincing fake kickoff. Probably going to ice this game as he looks to try and sweep this matchup against Laurel, or should say, continue his sweep. He's only got 2. Laurel's going to get a 7th goal, though. He is not out of this one. In fact, he actually controlled the majority of this game. It wasn't until the final moments that Dark was able to bring it back. Laurel, I'm really surprised Laurel didn't try and bump Dark. It seemed like the recipe for him scoring was just going to get Dark out of the play, bump him somehow, and then try and find a way to score, especially when he was so slowly recovering to get his touch. But Laurel disagreed, and instead, ball will be scored in his net. 10-7. Dark seems to be an incredibly volatile player. He wants to play games that end 10-7. He played against Ahmad and it ended similarly. He feels good when there's millions of goals going in. Game number 3. Dark and Laurel. Dark faking a kickoff. Laurel has yet to read it. Dark trying to go over the top of Laurel's early challenge. Actually just ends up playing right into Laurel's hands. Now Laurel, very strong lateral touch. Basically takes away all of his scoring opportunity. Need to keep that ball above you. As soon as you're level with it, the best you can do is just push it forward, which is never too scary for any defender. Dark's going to need, I think, a quad reset. With that first touch, if he wanted to get it back, I think he would need a quad reset. Dark just passing the ball to Laurel and then sitting and waiting until he scores on him. He didn't want to go up and touch this ball because he wasn't going to be able to turn it into anything useful afterwards. But obviously, some sort of touch is better than just letting Laurel score. Dark delayed on the wall to air dribble. Actually, perfect setup for this. Laurel is pre-jumped. I mean, I say pre-jump, but that's just really a phrase to mean he is pre-jacking the high save and then forced to come off the ceiling and back onto the wall because Dark changed up the speed. And while he's doing that, Dark finally does take the dribble. He's able to score with it. Laurel doing a little bit of that scrub killer diagonal kickoff where you kind of diagonal flip it to the side wall instead of trying to directly win it. Now Laurel just jumping purely as a fake so that Dark thinks he's going up to the ball and lets him keep the possession. Once again, similar jumps just to keep Dark glued to the ground. Now he's going to air dribble bump him and get a second great play from Laurel. Which team am I going to focus on today? Like, who do you think is the most interesting? Gen G. I think watching how Gen G does is the most interesting to me. How could it not be? The storyline of the EU players coming to play in North America, picking up the unproven North American young talent, 2 of which play 1v1, being Jack and Chronic. How could you, as a 1v1 fan, not be eyes glued to Gen G's run today? Shopify Rebellion is interesting as well. Yeah, Shopify Rebellion seems to be really good. All of the fellow pros are hyping them up. They're hyping them up so much that now I'm starting to expect it to not go as well as everyone says. Because everyone else is like, oh, Shopify Rebellion, they're the best. They're automatically in, guaranteed. So now I'm like, wait a second, what if they aren't? Dark. He has set himself up with a few different really hard first touches to bring back to the net. Hasn't prevented him from trying. Ooh, Laurel misses the long shot, but the demo to secure it. So unless Dark gets some kind of crazy spawn, then it will not be. Yeah, I would say NRG is the next most interesting storyline there. Of course, everyone watching on YouTube is like, this happened a week ago because we have a bit of a backlog now. But NRG not qualifying is interesting. Of course, anything that they could do well would just be basically uninteresting. Even if they go 3-0, it'll be like, oh yeah, well, it's NRG. But if they lose, everyone will be like, oh my gosh, the end of NRG. It's a tough position. NRG could go like all the way back to getting like top 4, and people would still just barely be like, yeah, it's just NRG. People are only interested in the downfall. Dark finally escaping the pressure of Loreley and likes to just slam the ball on Loreley's back wall, which is an interesting decision considering probably should have tried to hold on to possession a bit longer when he finally got free range. Loreley's going to pre-jump this. It actually worked out if he makes it back. What a play from Loreley. He's had enough of Dark's dribbles, and he intercepts it before it starts. The danger with that is that you leave yourself exposed to a potential rough bounce that you can't cover afterwards, but he was able to cover it. Now he's going to lob this one to the back wall, force Dark to use a bit of boost in the process of clearing it off into the corner. How can he demo Dark? No, he cannot. Dark escapes, so Dark will go from the ceiling for a strong shot, and it should be. No, it's not. It's crossbar and out. Dark had to shoot it as fast as he did. He was being chased down by Loreley behind him. But the end result of the shot is just a little too strong. Now Loreley, that was a huge mistake. Made up for it with a slight bump of Dark. But he just rolled the ball away from himself with 0 boost, and now he is just barely staying alive in this orange half. He's not going to get this midfield, so he'll probably be back into the corner. Dark with some space, but his defender finally has boost. Loreley, the shadow save. 31 to work with. Likely going to slow this ball down, but Dark's speed has made him panic a bit. As you see, as soon as he gains control of it, he's flicking it right back into Dark's control, and what he really needed to do was wait. But the demo as he retreats from the blue back wall, and a 4th goal for Loreley. He does not want to get swept here by the Middle Eastern youngster, as he's put himself in a great spot with the final 38 seconds. Loreley. Squeeze and pinch with Dark. But actually the ball spawns in a perfect position for Dark to take a dribble. And he has kept it away from Loreley's wacky pre-jump off the ceiling. Loreley's been doing this all series long though. Just mistimed. He was at the ceiling right where the ball intercepted it, but too early. By the time he fell down, that's when it actually hit the ceiling. Imagine Dark finds a way to tie this up in the last 13 seconds. This is a really good position for Dark, I would say. He's going to let it come all the way to the ground. The flick is wide, and that should end the game. Loreley doesn't really have boost to put pressure, so it's not going to end the game. Dark has one more opportunity, and it's another terrible first touch, I would argue, that Dark has to find a way to turn into a goal, and he's just going to go for a second try, catch it, take it right back to the wall, and Loreley pinches it away, and it hits the ground. So credit to Loreley's defense there, as Dark cannot get it in 3. Loreley's going to begin what could be a reverse sweep. All right, yeah, I saw somebody said stream crash, so I actually went and looked at. I had to go move some stuff around to see my stats, and I'm like, okay, wait, no, the stats say I'm just fine. There was no crash, so that guy maybe needs to refresh. Loreley looking away to claw his way back in against Dark. Somehow able to protect this ball after losing control of it, falling all the way from the ceiling. Your stream crashed as well. Interesting. I wonder if it's a Twitch side thing, because according to my stats, nothing has gone wrong for me, and at least a few of the people in chat haven't had an issue. Early ceiling shot. Able to get it first. Your stream also crashed. Well, hopefully you're all back now. Seems like Twitch maybe had an issue on their end, but my connection to Twitch's server has had no problems. Dark double jump and a first goal. Good counter to this early pressure that Loreley's been trying to put on, especially when he flips all the way out to the midfield You know he's going to have to rush full speed back to the play. There is no mix-up. There is no fake challenging. So Dark double jumps over the top. Loreley trying to go over the top of Dark's close shadow, and he works out in doing so. Dark a little bit too patient with his 15 boost. Maybe he would have had a chance to intercept that with a backflip and challenge, but instead just watched as Loreley played a bit of keep away. He did just slam Loreley though, so he knows he's got time to get back underneath this ball. Air dribble bump potentially. Loreley in and out of the net, makes the save. Impressive save at that. Yo, JT12, or sorry, Jaty? Jaty12? Maybe with a prime. Brand new prime. Is there a show match after this? You know, I've said there hasn't been for the past few, but then we always have. So I guess I can't guarantee you. This is like the 4th one we've done today, I think. Or have we done even more than that? I think it's just 4. Dark passed to himself off the back wall. I'm surprised he didn't go for the quick shot. Loreley just jumped in place and was totally out of position. As a lot of people in Rocket League comms would say, he was definitely awkward. And yet Dark didn't take advantage of the fact that he was awkward. Let him land back down the ground, reorient, and get a solid challenge. Yo, dude, long-time YouTube fan, but first time I've seen you live. Keep with the great content. Yo, I'm glad I could be live to catch your prime. Great to have you here. Dark. Easy save, low means a long shot for free. What is the boost of Dark? I think he's Sparkles. I don't even think it's painted or anything, just Sparkles, right? No, not Sparkles. What's it called? Sparks? It's Sparkles. No, it is Sparkles. Okay. The name Sparkles sounds like it would sound almost like a cartoon, you know? Whereas it literally sounds kind of like what sparks coming out of a, you know, car might sound like, you know? I don't know. I don't know what else to say it. Whereas Sparkles, the name Sparkles sounds like it would sound like a wand. Like a cartoon wand, you know what I mean? But that was a great pinch. Didn't realize that was just a pinch goal off the side wall. Nasty shot from Dark. Dark just going to chase Loreley down, and Loreley, who did not pick up the corner boost, was a lot more awkward than he should have been. Had he picked up that 100, he might have been able to accelerate away from the oncoming Dark. Also, he's caught right on that curve of the wall where you basically get your jump eaten alive, so there's not a ton of escaping to do from that position. He refused to cast the goal before finishing his Sparkles story. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're degenerating here as we go for many consecutive matches. Dark. Wow, what a save from Loreley. The patience to not panic and try and save it early. Instead, go for it from the position where he could make an interception. I am surprised that Loreley drove back forward. I mean, I feel like he knew he had to make a reverse save there, and he still ultimately decided to drive forward and try and challenge. But he could tell that Dark was going to be cutting it back to Dark's right and Loreley's left. She was only going to be able to get to with a reverse challenge, and yet he still tried to go forward. 6-4 for Dark, who has once again taken a lead for Loreley and erased it as he tries to end the show match in 4 games. Read of the fake kickoff from Loreley. He's going to be able to steal this corner boost. Actually, he's not going to. He's going to prioritize possession of the ball, which is interesting considering he actually wasn't able to hold on to possession. Dark, a double reset. That was an interesting double reset to play keep away from Loreley. And watching it from Loreley's perspective, we could tell he was just waiting. He could tell that Dark was losing control of the ball, or so we thought, and he was just waiting for his opportunity to roll away and take it, except the double reset made it so that he never could. And now, Dark is going to punish Loreley for only faking that challenge. Despite having 45 boost, Loreley could have gone up to get a touch. Instead, he let it fall to the ground. And Dark will get a 7th. He is getting a bit of separation here as the show match comes to an end. Loreley 50 in a demo. Taps in his well-earned freebie. Dark is a pro player. He is not. He's only 14 years old, so he's not allowed to be pro. But maybe he will be once he's 15. In fact, I feel like he almost definitely will be. I feel like as a European or North American ones player, you can reach the top and not be necessarily good enough at threes to make it into a top team. But I don't think that's the case with Middle East. I don't know if Middle East alone is deep enough that you could be this good of a player like Dark is and not find your way onto at least some top 16 Middle East team. But I could be wrong about that. That's just my feeling. 15 seconds left to go, and Loreley needed that goal. He needed to bump Dark because he needed all of the final seconds as an opportunity to get one more. Falling from the ceiling, the pinch would have been effective if it weren't for Dark there to block it. So Dark is going to get his first win on stream. He's going to come against Loreley, who's maybe been out of the ones game for a bit, but certainly a talented ones player as he showed in this match. He's going to lose this game for just by 1. But he throws the GGs as Dark breaks the seal, taking down the old guard in game 4. Can Nupo still do show matches? I don't know. Not sure.